A key requirement for the island's recreational cannabis industry to launch has hit a roadblock when the Cannabis Control Board granted approval for the first and sole lab applicant, Pacific Analytical Services, last October. It was the push Guam's cannabis industry needed to bud. Industry rules and regulation requires lab testing for all cannabis products before being sold. But during Monday's board meeting, Chair and Attorney
Heard
Vanessa
about
Williams
last
bringing
week,
up the applicant's issues getting
someone had
approval from
mentioned
the
that they
Department of
were.
Land Management.
I heard that someone was having issues with getting their applications for I believe it was a lab establishment, trying to get clearances from land management because of some misunderstanding in the rules.
Department of Revenue and Taxation Compliance Supervisor Craig Camacho says he had a casual conversation with the applicant and the issue seems to stem from a lease agreement requirement.
Because the requirement for land management clearance at the CAL level is an actual lease agreement showing the lease agreement, and he's going to conduct cannabis business there as an establishment. I think what he was wanting to address with the board is they're kind of skeptical now. Remember I said I'm locking in lease agreements if they're not sure the facility is going to qualify.
Camacho says the applicant asked if the board would allow for a letter of intent to lease the facility without actually committing to the lease.
Not a request by my office. I did speak to him though, now that you brought it up. I invited him in today's meeting, but again, he's traveling. He was asking whether to prevent this from happening, being locked into a lease agreement and then probably not going to comply with utilities or power down the road when it comes to the PTO, would the board allow for a letter of intent?
Board member and Guam Behavioral and Wellness Center Director Teresa Ariola says the applicant should make a formal request to the board before they can come to a decision. She adds land management should also give their input.
I would like to hear from land management themselves why it could or could not, whatever their decision is or whatever their position might be. So we can understand it, because this might not be the last time.
Until then, whether Pacific Analytical Services can move forward with opening up the first laboratory will have to wait until the next board meeting. Mitsuki Hirayama, KUAM News.